What's up, everybody? You know what this is. It's Girl Talk with J.Belle. We're doing a special edition limited series highlighting some of the most dopest and most influential women that are in the Queen City. And I have the one and only, our praise Charlotte, Melanie Pratt. She's on middays from 10 to 3. And how are you doing today?
Hey girl, I'm doing fantastic. I'm listening to the introduction. I'm not sure I am counted in this number.
You fit in this.
Well, wow.
Because we're doing Black Music Month. And Black Music Month, we're highlighting some of the women that are in the industry, have done very big moves.
That's awesome.
You know what I'm saying? From personalities to program directors to record reps. I mean, we're going all the way around.
So what you're probably finding is that everybody in the industry has more than one hat.
Exactly. Exactly. I found out about TLD, Renee, and now Mel. We're going to jump right into it.
All right.
How did you start your career?
Well, it's really funny. I always tell people I started my career in gospel singing in my church choir like everybody else. You're singing in the choir. And then, went from singing in the church choir to singing in a community choir. And singing in a community choir, you're more connected to the artists and musicians, writers. And doing that, I learned that I was really, really interested in telling the stories behind the music. And resultant of that, in 1997, I launched an online gospel music magazine. Gospelflavor.com was kind of groundbreaking at that time. And we're still in business today.
Nice. And what exactly, you said you highlight some of like the biggest things that are going on in gospel. What are some of the other things that you highlight also? Do you highlight some charity organizations or anything like that, or just strictly? It's
strictly music. It's strictly gospel music and gospel music industry. And again, we started out really just telling the stories behind the music. You know, Pastor John P. Key wrote this song from his experience of such and such, or, you know, make sure you attend the live recording of so-and-so as they embark on their third album. And in the beginning, it was really kind of cool. You know, it was kind of the advent of the popularity of the internet. And so having relationships with a lot of writers and musicians, we were at the forefront of knowing what was coming. So really being able to stay in touch with those guys and telling people, you know, so-and-so's working on production on this album coming in the next month. So we're really on the front edge. Now, it's interesting now, social media has changed things so much. People don't have to come to you to tell their story. They're telling their own on social media. So right now we're more of a portal, sharing information that Fred Hammond might post on his Instagram or Dietrich Haddon might share on his Twitter account. And that's where we are today.
So you go from starting your website, your own website. How did you get into radio?
Well, it's so funny. So because I have relationships with the artists and the musicians, of course, every time an artist came to town, I'm front and center, you know, trying to find out what are you working on next, what's coming. And I think somewhere along the way, Alvin, who was the former program director here years ago, he passed away a few years ago, as a matter of fact, you know, I think he kind of was wondering, who is that? And why is she all in our territory? And came to me and said, hey, you know, we'd like you to come, you know, try radio. And I was like, oh no, I have no interest. I don't like the sound of my voice. Never thought about doing radio. But Alvin coerced me to come in and give it a shot. And here I am 11 years in the game.
Wow.
Yeah, crazy.
I know, right? So let me ask you this. You know, you said you've been doing this for basically over a decade. Have you seen the change in how the music is portrayed? You know, like we mostly call it gospel, but our station is Charlotte's Inspiration Station. So, you know, are we looking more towards staying away from the word gospel to kind of work all the realms, because everybody wants to keep from starting any problems or any issues? Because you know, two things that people don't really talk about is religion and politics.
So from a marketability standpoint, it all just depends on who you're marketing to. If you're marketing to a gospel fan base, then you better say gospel. If you're trying to have a more broad reach, then inspirational is a phrase that's been used. Radio 1 has reached out in the inspirational space, I think primarily because we have other genres, other stations that reach out, that target other genres, that we have taken a more broad approach, which I think is fine. I just think you need to know what you're targeting.
Exactly. I totally agree with you on that. Have you seen the music change over the years? You know, you got Ty Tribbett, you have Dietrich Haddon, you have Mary, who, you know, is one of the hugest groups and even is on our morning show, Get Up Erica in the morning. So, I mean, what do you feel as though how the music was maybe like 5 years ago to versus now?
Well, and I think gospel will always have two things. It will always have its traditional core. It will always have choir music. It'll always have quartets. And then there will always be a segment that's focusing on what is current musically. So right now, Ty Tribbett doing what they're calling trap gospel. Back in the day when Mary Mary broke out, that was kind of cutting edge. Even before that, when BB and CeCe Winans came out in the early 80s, that was considered, oh my goodness. Before them, the Hawkins were considered like way too cutting edge. Wow. So there's always that progression and that group that's going to be on the cutting edge of whatever music technology is and whatever the current music sound is. Gospel will always come back to its core. And the reason for that is because gospel is rooted in the church, and what gospel is, it is the good news. That is how gospel is defined, and that is always founded in the Word of God, and that's always church. So I find a benefit in having both worlds because, again, it all just depends on who you're talking to.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, I learned something new just now. Oh, wow. So speaking of music, you know, we were talking a little bit off camera. You had or have your own music label.
Yes.
Now, how did you get that started? And you know, are you still highly involved in it?
So right now, I have no artist. And it's so funny because the label came about kind of the same way radio came about. I was not looking to have a label. We were in the throes of gospel flavor. I think it was around 2000, 2001. And we were having a good time, you know, really doing big things on the web. And an artist came to us and said, hey, you know anybody looking for a choir? And I was like, no. But my business partner said yes, because he always wanted to have a label. And it was J.J. Hairston and Youthful Praise. They were a church choir at the time, and they had done a small release out of the back of their trunk at church. And they had, I think, pressed, I don't know, 500, 1,000 copies or something and sold them. And as a service, Gospel Flavor always provided a free album review for anybody. So it would be your church choir right next to Donnie McClurkin's review. So because of that, we were familiar with J.J. Hairston and Youthful Praise. And long story short is we picked them up as our first and only artist. And we produced, I think under our label, we produced 6 projects. I executive produced those first 6 or 7 projects. And now they have grown up and blown up on top of the charts right now. I believe JJ did this latest release, You Deserve It, on his label actually now. So It's been really, really fun to be a part of the development. And just really in any small way, it's humbling for me to think that, you know, people love JJ and love Youthful Praise, and just to think that I have any small part in introducing them and providing a platform for them to be everything that they are today. Just absolutely amazing. I love JJ. Hey, JJ.
It's so cute. Now you wear so many hats, you know, personality, you own your own website, but you also work in the community with different organizations. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yes, I'm on the board of directors for the Harvest Center, which is an organization that serves the underserved in the community. We're known largely for feeding the homeless on Tuesdays and Wednesdays at our new location, 2225 Freedom Drive. I'm doing the commercial. People come in and volunteer. We also were a participant in Room at the Inn this past winter, which houses people on winter nights, on cold winter nights. Of course, we didn't have that cold over winter this year, but then we provide other core services, community service. But the program, our crown jewel of the program is our transformation program, where we take people off of the street. We enroll them in a program, a multi-week program that the hope is that it takes them off of the street. We put them in our housing. They receive job training, some of them substance abuse work, some mental health things, some job training, all kinds of things. And we bring people from the street to self-sustaining.
Wow.
Yeah, it's amazing.
You are a very busy woman too, and on top of that, you have not one Stellar Award, but 2, right?
I don't have any. I was nominated several times.
Okay.
I was nominated several times, and really, honestly, I don't know. It is such an honor to be among the nominees because looking at the list of the nominees in the years that I was nominated, and some of the company, it's people who are in national syndication. it's people in major markets. It's New York, it is, you know, Chicago, Atlanta, and then there's me. And it's like, you know, and also too, they're all career radio people, which I guess I am now. But for me in those early years, those nominations were doubly amazing because I still feel like I don't know what I'm doing. So to be nominated amongst people that I have known of before I ever thought of doing radio, I already won. That was like, I could have never, ever imagined that, ever.
And who's some of the influences in your life, like as far as like when it comes to gospel music or gospel radio DJs?
Gospel radio DJs, listen, I have to shout my girl out, Cheryl Jackson. She is on Praise DC. Okay. She was my friend for years before I ever thought about doing radio. And really, again, it was kind of like a joke, like I'm be trying to do what Cheryl does. My girl Tracy Bethay in Memphis, absolutely amazing. Again, another friend of mine, friend and colleague, way before I ever considered doing radio. Liz Black in New York, you'd be crazy if you didn't mention her. There are so many amazing women that do radio, and I'm gonna be in total trouble for not calling everybody's name. But I love y'all, and y'all know it because we cut up when we get together.
I love it. I love it. Well, do you have any other like inspirational words for other young women that are ready to get into this industry? Not just for, you know, secular music or gospel music, but just period on the other side of things, because you worn so many hats in the entertainment industry.
I would say that regardless of what you're trying to do in the industry or outside the industry, your name is all you have. And so operate with the highest level of integrity. And I know that may not sound sexy, it may not sound like it's connected to gospel or to music, but in any realm that you work, people are gonna challenge you and try and muddy up what you're doing. And I pride myself, it's all above board, and my name is all I have, and my integrity and my reputation and being nice to people is really, it goes a long way. It's the reason you can call people and ask for a favor. It's the reason you can say, hey, I don't know how to do this. Can you help me? And I'd like to think, you know, you don't do everything perfectly, but I'd like to think that, you know, I'm able to maintain my relationships both professionally and personally because I hold that in high regard. And really, you know, a lot of times people get to climbing the corporate ladder or the industry ladder or whatever, and they forget. And it's like you can find yourself at the top and, you know, your hands be so dirty that you can't even enjoy it. So that's really my advice.
Nice. Well, thank you so much. Now, you know you can check out Melanie on Praise 100.9. Also, Old Taste and See.
Old Taste and See.
We just got that started.
It's Janelle's baby. She's making me act crazy with food. Y'all know I love food.
She's our resident foodie, and she has her cupcake of the week. We're building that on social media. And if you want to follow Melanie on social media, let them know where you're at.
On Instagram, I'm at Melanie Who. The number 1 is because that one girl had Melanie Who without the 1. Everything else you can find me at Melanie Who, Facebook, Melanie Pratt, all of that good stuff. You can find me also on Praise Charlotte, at Praise Charlotte.
At Praise Charlotte, there you go. Well, thank you guys for joining us. Until next time, bye.